family, I didn't see you there. And welcome back to another edition of Crenshaw Corner. I am Sanchez Crenshaw, and as always, I am joined by the best part of my day.
Speak it.
The love of my life.
Speak.
The wind beneath my wings. The wind beneath my wings. Yeah,
right.
that sound right.
The wind beneath my wings. I think.
Yeah,
that right there.
The chocolatey of all chocolate Smurfs.
I'm cute.
Adorables.
What?
The Chitara to my lion nose.
We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do trivia today.
I'm saying, you know.
It's Friday the 13th. You don't want trivia.
You know what that is.
It don't matter.
Come on, man. You know what that is.
Nope. Don't know.
Come on, man. Everybody know the Thundercats.
They don't know the Thundercats, baby. Everybody doesn't know what you know, baby.
How do they not know the Thundercats?
Baby, everybody doesn't know the cartoons.
Everybody know. The Thundercats, man, are a classic staple of Americana.
Are you?
I'm just saying.
Okay, baby.
I'm coming to realize you unpatriotic. Is all I'm saying.
Whatever.
You unpatriotic.
Whatever, sir. Go ahead with your housekeeping.
Did you ever say your name?
I did. I was scared. I was just gonna let you be out by yourself today.
I'm saying, did you even?
What's going on, family? What is going on? I am Angela Crenshaw. Guys, what is going on?
That's my wife, family.
Listen, I am. Guys, I live with this every day. It's always a trivia question.
What do you live
it's
with?
Always this right here.
What's this?
Always a trivia question. There's always a did you know and what would you do and what would you like to do and choose one that you would like to do.
I'm saying, first of all, this is not a choose your adventure.
I'm just saying.
This is crazy.
They know. Well, go ahead, do your housekeeping, babe. Do your housekeeping.
As always, family, we like to start with just thanking you guys for being a part. We thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We thank you for taking this journey with us.
Yes.
For our new family members,
come on.
Welcome.
Come on. Here's a clap.
Welcome.
I'm clapping, people.
However you found us, however you're listening to us, whether it's through iTunes, whether it's Podbean, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Google Play, whether it's Amazon Music, whether it's iHeartRadio, on our own personal website at www.thecrenshawcorner.com. We thank you so much for being a part.
We left one out, though.
What did we leave?
Or if someone invited you or advised you or put you on to the Crenshaw Corner.
When we start doing that, though?
I just wanted to add that part.
So how did I leave it out? It was just something you can just throw it in there.
We just want to say thank you to the people out there that's telling other people. Yeah. Telling other people.
Yeah, if you came through the Refer a Friend program, we appreciate you.
What?
The refer a friend?
That's the crazy. That was the word I was looking for.
Refer.
So that's why I use all those other words.
Because you tried to
I couldn't think of refer.
Reference.
The reference, referral, the Crenshaw Corner referral program.
We appreciate
that.
So
yes.
And for our returning family members.
Check in the mail.
Wow. Hold on, don't cash that check though. Don't post that. I'm telling you, when you get that check in the mail, it's posted. Look at that date on that check when you try to cash.
Get out here cashing, but go ahead.
And for our returning family members, as always, you know how we feel about you.
Come on.
We thank you guys so much for being a part, for staying with us, for listening to us, for supporting us. However you're listening to us, whether it's in your car, whether it's in your home, we just thank you guys so much for just allowing us into your life. And also, before I forget, welcome to the cookout.
Yes.
And make sure you bring aluminum foil and tell them, babe, why.
So you can take something with you. Take some of the Crenshaw nuggets.
We say this a lot, is that with the Crenshaw Corner, you kind of never know what you're going to get per episode.
Ever.
We love to have fun. We love to enjoy each other's company. We love to have engaging conversation.
Yes.
Every now and again, every once in a while.
A lot.
Not too often.
A lot.
We may veer off course just a little bit.
If you say so.
We may go down a couple of rabbit holes. Maybe the ending topic is not really how we began the conversation.
Vice versa.
Doesn't really happen too often.
Yeah, right. Okay, but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, but yet family, you stay with us. You listen,
thank you guys so much.
And we appreciate it. And so we say, make sure you bring some aluminum foil. That way, because what we try to do is try to give you something, a different perspective, drop a nugget, a different thought process, something, an aha moment, something that you can be like, you know what, I didn't think about that. And so we ask that you take that with you to make sure that you know, once again, that you're a part.
Yeah, I like it.
You like it?
You felt good?
I felt good about it.
Did you do the socials?
I was about to. You kind of
rock out the socials. Rock out the socials. Rock out the socials.
So one thing we always say that we
not your social security number though.
No, I ain't giving. Actually, I'll give it out because I mean somebody can do something with it. I'm hoping somebody.
They're gonna be mad about it.
They're gonna be mad about it.
But go ahead.
But family, we consider ourselves an interactive podcast, and what that means is that we can be found on the socials. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, all under Crenshaw Corner. And of course, you can contact us at any time via our email address, which is thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. Once again, thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys.
We do. Babe, do we tweet?
We tweet.
I don't tweet.
You don't tweet. We tweet. Our social media person tweets.
Okay.
Yeah, we tweet.
Are they tweeting though?
No, they're tweeting.
Okay, great.
They tweeted. They tweeted.
I'm just checking them because when you said, I was like, tweet. I guess I don't go to that platform. That's why.
Nah, you don't.
That's
really,
sad.
Yeah, you don't really tweet at all.
That's some sad stuff.
Do you even know what Twitter is?
I know what this little bird. It's a blue page, ain't it?
The little blue bird.
It's a little end page blue.
Oh.
Yeah, the page is blue.
It's the page.
And the little blue bird.
Wow.
Tweet. Don't do that. I'm just saying. I just know what it is. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm sorry.
It's alright. So family. If you've been following us, if you've been listening, you know that right now we're in the middle of a series. Actually, we're coming to the tail end of it.
Yes, we are.
We are. We're in a series called Enough is Enough. And we've been doing different variations of the topic of Enough is Enough.
Yes.
We've done Enough is Enough Home Edition. Mm-hmm. We've done Enough is Enough Mental Health Edition. We've done Enough is Enough Sex Edition.
Yes.
If you haven't listened to any episodes,
what is going on?
Why not?
Come on now.
Go back and listen. Go back and listen.
Treat it like Hulu and go ahead and binge it out.
Go ahead and just binge it out.
Binge out that first series.
It'll bless you.
First of all, do we know how many episodes we've done so far?
A lot.
Okay, great. That's
I think we're
great
to
number.
be honest, I think we're somewhere around 67, maybe 68 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, actually it's really amazing because when you think about it, and I just actually heard this stat again this evening as I was watching something or listening to something, is that most podcasts, they don't make it past the 8th episode. Typically about 7 or 8 episodes is what they do, and then they just fade off. But the fact that we're about 68, 69 episodes strong, somewhere around there. We're in the 60s, I know that, which is crazy. And that's a testament to the family because you guys are stuck in there with us. You guys, most of the family have no idea who we are. We're just some random people in their ear. Oh, wow, 73.
70, I had to look it up.
Yeah, actually, this will be our 74th
episode. Come on, somebody.
Wow, that's amazing. Once again, though, it's so amazing because the majority of our family members who listen, they have no idea who we are.
Right.
They see a picture on our Instagram or they see on our Facebook, but they've never personally met us.
Right.
But yet they stay with us. They with us.
Do.
They listen.
We appreciate it.
They give us such great feedback. They give us such great reviews. They tell a friend.
Yeah.
And we're just thankful for it.
Thank you so much.
We don't take it for granted the fact that, like you said, there's a million podcasts out there. Most of them don't make it past 8 episodes.
Right.
But yet we're 74 episodes strong. We still got a supportive family.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
And thank you for the time because for what I believe, time is money.
Time is currency.
And so it's currency, and I believe that so much. And so, for me, I would rather give you money than give you all my time.
Right.
Money I can get, but time I can't get back. So for you guys to come and listen to us all the time on Wednesdays and Fridays only. Wednesdays and Fridays only.
Wednesday and Fridays only. That's our release schedule. Because
we've been asked to do some other days, but we will not.
Yeah, we've been asked to do 5 days a week.
Yeah, or at least 3. But we will not. We will not.
For right now, we're going to stay at our current release schedule.
Wednesday and Friday.
Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah. So what are we talking about, baby?
Big Moment and Crenshaw Corner on Fridays.
So what we kicking it about? What
we're going to talk about now?
Okay, go for it.
The topic at hand. Once again, we're staying with our series of Enough is Enough, but now we're going to tackle a topic that for some it's a little taboo. For some, they have issues with it. We know from a societal standpoint, there's a huge issue with it.
Right.
There's confusion on what is what and what should be.
Right.
So now we're going to tackle gender roles.
Gender roles.
Gender roles within a marriage.
Right.
So actually, you're going to start the conversation because I've talked enough.
Okay, cool. No, I'm only playing.
That's a good way to start with an and a
I'm only playing. So here's the thing I want to ask you. We decided we wanted to do this. Was a conversation that we wanted to have.
Right.
I was waiting for this time because we always do it fresh.
Yes, we do.
They asked you this question. So there was a time that I was working. You were not working.
I remember.
You were home with the kids, taking care of the kids.
I remember.
How? Because for society, what society says, and it's been changing, but not dramatically.
Right.
But society says the man works, the woman stay home. That there shouldn't be a stay-home dad.
Right.
As far as your ego was concerned, how did you feel about that? Like, was there an ego about that? Was there a prideful feeling about that? That I did go to work and you didn't, and you were home with the kids? What was that? What was that feeling? Because I want to get started with that because so many people are so dead against stay-home dads. So let's talk about that. As far as the role of the man should never be to stay home with the kids. So that's the first gender role I want to talk about in perspective, since we did it.
For me, it was hard. Mm-hmm. Because the way I grew up with that thought process, with that philosophy.
Right.
The man works. The man supports the family. The man takes care of the family. The wife stays home. Even if the wife does work, it's still her responsibility.
Right.
For the home.
Okay.
And the man gets out and earns a living.
Right.
So when situations and circumstances happen where at that point in time I was not able to earn a living, and I was the one staying home, it was a hard pill to swallow. As far as, because you asked about ego and pride, initially in the beginning, my pride got in the way. My pride was hurt because you were getting up in the morning, you were leaving the home, you were braving traffic, you were going into corporate America and dealing with whatever you were dealing with, and I was the one, helping the kids and cooking and cleaning and making sure the house is in order,
which is a job within itself.
I take nothing away from that. That is a job within itself. Being a stay-home parent, period, whether it's a male or a female, is a chore. It's a task. Right. I think we mentioned this before because the one thing about that is that for a person that goes out into the workforce, you got 2 15s in an hour lunch, or at least a 30-minute, depending on the way you live by law. Where you work. There's a time you clock in, there's a time you clock out. Right. And once you clock out, you don't have to worry about that work until the next day. Right. Well, being a stay-at-home parent, there is no clock in and clock out. Right. There is no 15 and a 30 or 45 hour lunch. You're on all the time. Right. The biggest adjustment for me was just once again having that stigma in my mind. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be the primary cooking and cleaning. You're not supposed to be the primary stay at home. You're not supposed to be kissing your wife as she goes out to work. What the heck is wrong with you? So it took me a minute to adjust to that. It took me a minute. I don't know if you realize it, but that's because one thing I always tried to make sure is that by the time you got home, there was nothing for you to do. Right, absolutely. I always tried to make sure that the house was in order, the house was clean, dishes were done, kids were in some type of order. With our kids, you can never have them fully in order. Some type of order. Yeah, just some type of order. Just order, just a little bit of order would be great. Go ahead. Something, dinner done and ready for you. Because for me, the biggest thing was, how dare I be home all day and not have everything in order for you. Now, did I make you feel that way? Because I'm trying to figure it out, because that was never expectation. So is that something you put on yourself? Yeah, no, that was the expectation for myself, because in my mind I wasn't doing anything else. So why not do this? Yeah, in my mind, I wasn't contributing in any other way. Financially, I wasn't contributing. You were taking care of the bills. You were taking care of everything financially. In my mind, the least I could do is make sure your home was comfortable. Right. Because in my mind, I wasn't contributing in any way. Which, when I really think about that, that was such a toxic way of thinking. Exactly. Because if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't think that way. I was about to say the same thing. Yeah. If it was And it's been that way. And it's me going out to work and you being a stay-at-home mom or being a stay-at-home parent.
At one point, I was a stay-home mom with no stay-home
With no
kids.
stay-home kids. I remember that.
Like, all the kids had graduated, and I decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And kids was like, well, baby, we don't got no kids. But I felt compelled.
Yeah,
I felt compelled.
That's what you wanted to do, so that's what we did.
That's what we did, yes.
Yeah, but for me, it was, like I said, and it was just the toxic way of thinking, because once again, if it was the roles were reversed, if it was you going out in the workforce, you staying home and me going out in the workforce, there's no way I would have thought that you wasn't doing anything.
Right,
or you were not contributing.
Exactly.
But the fact that it was reversed and it was you going out to the workforce, you earning a living, earning a paycheck, and me being home, in my mind, I was saying to myself, you're not contributing.
Wow.
You're not doing anything. You're not living up to your end of the bargain.
Right.
So, at the least, the bare minimum that you can do is make sure her house is clean, is make sure the laundry's done, is make sure the kitchen is done, is make sure dinner's ready.
Right.
You know, that's the least you can do, because you're not contributing in any other way.
But I always felt that was the greatest thing that you could do. And I say that because I knew when I came home all was well. You made it okay to go out to the workforce without having to worry about anything. There's some people who go out into the workforce and be like, okay, the kids and who going to do this, that, and the other, but I didn't have that. I went out carefree, skipping and jumping, out there. So I think you have I think for me, in my mind, this is my personal perspective, that you have the greatest position because you have the greatest, what was I trying to say? You open the door for me to be able to go do what I do without worrying about anything. So I think the position of a stay-home dad at that time was such a phenomenal thing.
Well, here's the thing, and I apologize for cutting you off.
You fine.
That sounds well and good, and that actually should be that's the way it should be. But once again, because that's not how I was raised. Okay. That's not what I heard in my home. That's not what I heard throughout my family. In the generation I was raised in, that's not what you heard. So that's not what you did. You just a man. What do you stay? You're an able-bodied man. What are you staying home for? Right. And it wasn't from the lack of. It wasn't from that I wasn't looking for employment. It's just at that point in time, I had lost my employment. It was hard for me to find. I could find something, but something that was sustainable. Right.
But that was close to what you were making when you lost the job.
Right. Because I could have took, a single digit an hour job, but that wasn't going to benefit our family. Right. That wasn't going to benefit what we needed. That wasn't going to benefit us in any way, shape, or form. Absolutely. So I had to make sure that I could get something that was sustainable. Right. So, and once again, in a perfect world, it wouldn't be a situation of, you're the man, you got to go work. If you stay home, you're this. Or in a perfect world, it's going to be what best suits your family. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand there are some biblical principles to how it should look. There's, once again, I've said this jokingly before, but the Bible said, man, don't work, don't eat. But that looks different, though. Right, for every family. For every family, that looks different. But I think what happens when it comes to, and the reason we're getting into the conversation about gender roles, is because a lot of the times we put societal viewpoint
in our marriage
on what a marriage should look like, on what the man's role should be, on what the woman's role should be. Right. Or
we put our family thought processes in our marriage of what it should be as well. And I think that, it was so crazy because I remember my mom would get upset. We would go visit in New York. And my mother was the person who fixed my dad plate, got him what he wanted to drink, did all those things. And when she found out that I was not doing that for you, she lost all her senses. She could not, even to this day, she'll call me, and if you're cooking, she was like, so if he's cooking, what you doing? Waiting for the food to get ready? She couldn't get the concept because of that we divided the chores, that we divided the cooking, that we divided the laundry, but that's what worked for our family, but she could not grasp the concept. So whenever when she was visiting, she would cook for you, just do everything for you. And I'm looking at her like, You know he's not gonna get this when he go home when we leave it, right? You know, but it was what would work for us. But what has happened is a lot of times there are families who do want to flip it, where the husband does want to be the stay-home dad, and the wife right now she's making the most money, so they're like, and daycare is so expensive,
right.
And so that works for their family. But because what society has said in that same chatterbox that you're just talking about, it wound up the woman leaves her career, she stays home, he goes out in the world and gets a job that's not paying as much as she was making, and then there's a gap. If that makes sense, what I'm saying. There's a gap in it. And so let's talk about something even smaller in reference to ginger rolls. Cleaning up. Let's talk about cleaning up, because one thing, we always put it out to people about gender roles. To see what, whatever we do, we put it out, say, hey, what are you thinking? And one of the things that came back to me was the whole cleaning up situation. Because, so cleaning up, we both take turns. Like 1 week is his laundry, 1 week is mine. One day he clean up, one day he cook. So again, you wasn't raised that way.
No, I wasn't raised that way at all. So the way I was raised was, it was kind of twofold.
Okay.
So in my mother's home, because it was, her and just the kids, I had to clean up. Saturday morning, you up early, there's gospel music playing.
I lived.
Everything got to be clean before 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Yeah, so I was raised that way.
Actually, we raised our children that way.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We actually really did.
We really did.
But in my grandparents' home, where I spent the majority of my time growing up, that was at that time, that was the longest marriage that I knew.
Right.
At that time with my grandparents. But watching them and watching their dynamic, where I honestly, and when I say this, I'm not trying to be funny, and maybe my memory is not as good as it used to be, but I don't ever remember my grandfather cleaning up.
Ever?
I don't. I mean,
a bowl, a cup, a fork.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that maybe at one time he did, but I honestly don't. And I know I remember how memory works. I don't remember every single day.
Right.
However, but I don't recall a time. I don't recall a time my grandfather doing the dishes. I don't recall a time my grandfather doing the laundry. I don't recall a time my grandfather vacuuming or sweeping or anything of that nature.
Wow.
I don't recall him doing that at all.
Right.
That was all on my grandmother. My grandmother did the laundry. My grandmother did the dishes. My grandmother cleaned the bathroom. My grandmother swept the floor. My grandmother did all that.
Right.
I don't recall ever a time seeing my grandfather do that.
Wow.
At all.
And the crazy part, in my house, my dad did. First, my dad was a weird person. Like, he would iron his underwear.
Because they got to be crispy.
And he would iron the doilies, if anybody remember what those are, that went on the dresser. And he would iron his towels.
You just aged yourself.
I'm just telling you what my dad.
You just really aged yourself.
But what happened?
A doily is a lace garment. Typically, it's lace and white.
Yeah.
It's like a runner that you put across a dresser.
A dresser.
We found it in the older homes in the 60s and 70s.
That's a lie. You make me so sick.
I'm just saying.
Listen, but he would do that, but the crazy part about it, so he used to cook. And he used to iron, and he used to iron my mom's stuff and everything. And then I don't know what happened. She kind of like started taking over, and then he got tired of fighting her on it. And when he stopped doing it, he like literally never did it again.
Because that's the one thing.
Like, seriously.
That's one thing about Pop. Pop was all or nothing.
Yeah, this was true.
And that was everything.
That was everything.
Pop was all or nothing.
He was all or nothing.
Either Pop was going to do it,
right,
or Pop wasn't going to do it.
There
was no middle ground with Pop.
But my mom, where he came from doing stuff for her, she came from a relationship where she did everything for the man. And so basically, she kind of pushed him out of it, and then he just stopped doing it at all. And then she just began to, and I remember when I was younger, just be so mad at her, looking at her like, what?
Yeah.
He can get his plate, Mom. He wants to get his plate, but she just felt like the way that she was raised, that was her job, that was her duty. So because she was raised that way, and our family is nowhere near traditional at all. The way we raise the children, even the way that we do things as far as gender roles are concerned in the house and in our marriage. So how did you change? How did you flip?
I don't think I necessarily flipped or changed. For me, I think, and maybe I'm just tooting my own horn, but I always think my entire life I've always had a different perspective on things. As much as I love my family, as much as they mean to me, as much as I'm very appreciative of what they gave me, what they instilled in me, how they raised me. For a lot of things in life, we've never really seen eye to eye on.
Right.
We've always had a very different perspective.
Right.
So for me, it was never about what role I should have. For me, it was always about, especially when it came to you, it was always about what's the best way to show her love. What's the best way to...
Your love language, acts of service?
I believe it is. Yeah, actually, I believe it is. So it's always been, what's the best way to show her love? What's the best way to make sure she's okay? What's the best way to make sure our marriage runs properly?
Right.
And with that being said, one thing I want to do is kind of put to bed a common misconception. And when I say this, I'm talking to my gentleman out there. You can be a whole man and still do the dishes.
Right.
You can be a whole man and still fold laundry. You can be a whole man and still vacuum.
Absolutely.
You can be a whole man and be a stay-at-home dad. And you can be a whole man and still do these things.
And your contribution is great.
Yeah. Because one thing I had to understand is, do you understand what peace of mind it is for a mother to know that her children are 100% without doubt totally taken care of, where they're not worrying about who's around them, what they're doing. They don't have to worry about, is the person taking care of them. There's no better hands to leave a child in than the hands of a parent.
Exactly.
And understand, I know there's some caveats, but we're not talking about
We're not talking about those. I learned raising myself, basically. Because I came out when I was a teenager. It's so weird to say it sounded. I came out when I was a teenager.
It's just the way you
but I kind of moved out. I know, and you look at me like,
hey, I was like,
is this the truth table today? What's happening right now?
I need to know because it's just the way you say it.
But I moved out at a very young age. And so coming into our marriage, I was more so what? Words are hard.
Words are hard.
I came in with the thought process, who does it better?
Yeah.
And whoever does it better is a person that should do it. And of course we make a joke about he cooks better, blah, 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 blah. But we knew coming in, whoever did it better should do it. And also then we also came in knowing that we need to share the responsibility. We had 4 kids.
Yeah.
4 children.
Ready-made family.
Ready-made family. They came in and they wasn't playing no games. They came in guns blazing.
Bazookas.
Yeah, so you had to be prepared. So
my mother would say a uzuka.
Uzuka. So you couldn't run this house traditionally. You couldn't run it. So far as the roles are concerned, whoever worked for us. Whoever didn't work stayed home with the kids, and that was one thing. The other thing, as far as dishes are concerned, if you in the kitchen, you want to do the dishes, you do them. If you don't, whoever does the dishes does the dishes. Laundry. Now, see, that's where it's a little tricky.
We're not going to get into that.
It's a little tricky. It's a little tricky.
So you lied to the people.
Because he needs to do laundry all the time, guys. Because he folds like he's in a store. His laundry, his laundry routine looks so much better than mine. Like the clothes look cleaner, fresher, and folded better than me. So I feel compelled. I'll do my week, but if I don't have to,
you don't fold, man. You roll. I don't even know the technique you use, man. It's like a half fold, a half roll, a half tuck.
No,
I don't know what
you have to get the because when you get the towel, it's just right. It's stiff.
Who wants a stiff towel?
I'm just saying.
Who wants to?
Because it's okay. Let me tell you my folding technique, people.
You don't have one.
I do. You take the towel long. You fold it in half. Then when you fold it in half, then you fold it in half again smaller. Then you begin to roll. When you get to the end, you take the ends and you tuck. That way, it is smoothly in the basket because they're all in baskets on top of each other. Boom, 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 stacked just right.
But you do that with everything. Shirts, jeans, t-shirts, sweaters.
I do not do sweaters.
You tuck and roll everything.
Listen, I don't do sweaters.
Anyway.
I don't.
But okay, before we get too far off topic, now I get it, because there are some Bible-toting biblical scholars out there ready to shoot holes in every theory we're saying right now, and I get that. However, now once again, we kind of touched on this in the beginning. There are biblical principles to what a husband looks like and what a wife looks like. There are some duties that a husband has to have. You have to be the protector of your home. You have to be the covering of your home. You have to be the lead of your home.
Right.
But where we get that confused is that we confuse with being the head of your household with being the one, well, I don't have to do nothing when it comes to the house.
Because I bring the finances.
Because I bring the finances.
Exactly.
And we get that.
That's the problem. We
get that confused with, because the Bible says, and help me if I get this wrong, the Bible says, submit to thy own husband. And we get that confused.
And stop right there. The wives submit to their own husbands, and the husbands submit to their own wives. But we stop.
We just say that. We say that one segment there. But then we get that confused with submission means do what I say.
Right.
Submission means that it's your job to take care of the house. It's your job to do the kids. It's your job to cook. And we get that confused, and then we go back to June and Ward Cleaver, where she's just bringing them his slippers and making sure his coffee's ready.
At the door. That used to blow. I was like, Lord, I'm never getting married. If I got to bring it to the dough when you open the dough?
And we get it confused, and then we look at it like it's a dictatorship, instead of looking at it like it's a partnership, because the Bible says that man leaves their mother and their father's house. I'm paraphrasing. The Bible says husband and wife becomes one. Right, exactly. So my thing is, if we're becoming one, that means that I have to do things to benefit myself. Right. And to do that, that means that I have to make your life as less complicated as possible. Yes. So to make your life as less complicated as possible, if I gotta wash a dish, if I gotta pick up the kids, if I gotta go to competition, if I gotta be the only dad in the room because I had to take the kid to dance rehearsal, always the only father in the room, or acting, then so be it. That's what we do. Because for me, it was more important for you to know that you were loved, that you were taken care of, that you were not in this alone, than saying, I'm the man, I'm a man, I can only do these certain things. Right. And I think that when you come across that situation, that's where we always say this all the time, there needs to be some communication, because what happens in the midst of that, when you're not doing it your family way, but you're doing society way, or the way that you were taught through your family instead of what works for your family, bitterness, resentment, anger, frustration builds up, and then that's a much bigger problem than just the dishes and the laundry. At that point, so there has to be a conversation about it, and I think these are conversations that need to be had before you get married. To be honest, as far as what does the family dynamic look like? If would you be willing to be a stay-at-home dad, or are you into dishes and household chores and laundry? Do you believe in it being a combined effort versus just one doing it all the time? So there's a communication that has to happen. Having the conversation. If the wife makes more than the husband, where are you with that? Are you okay with that? Right. Because it's amazing to me how many men I've spoken to. That's a touchy spot. Yeah, how many men I've spoken to over the years, growing up and over the years of my adulthood, and talking to husbands. And they were like, my wife can never make more than me, and really tying their self-worth into the amount of money they make. Come on now. And if their wife makes more than them feeling less than. Right. I've never subscribed to that philosophy. Right. But make as much as you can. Right. This is we are one. Because this is our family. Here's the thing. Your income's still coming into the house. Exactly. So whether it's I'm making more or you're making more, it's the same income coming into the house. Right. Now, with that being said, though, ladies, don't hold it over people's head. Right. Because be careful. Yeah, be careful with that. It's okay. There's no point in reminding me all the time that you make more than me. Right. Why are we having that conversation? There's no point in when it comes to the bills demeaning what I'm bringing into the house.
Right.
If it's not what you
think it should be.
You know?
Right.
That's what I want.
It makes sense. Also, too, being mindful to, if the husband is the stay-home dad, encouraging him, not making him feel any certain type of way. Because first of all, you already feel some type of way because you're home anyway. And I knew that about you.
Yeah.
And
that goes both ways, though.
Yeah, but not making you feel any type of way because you're a man who stay home with the children, that you're less than a man or less than a person, or it's your home, it's where you live, it's where you lay your head, and for me, I always felt like I had a responsibility to make sure that you felt safe, that you felt good, that you felt respected, that you felt good about what you were doing, that it wasn't just a matter of you driving the kids around being a chauffeur, but you were really legitimately taking care of your family.
Right.
And I think that's what we miss sometimes. We are confusing the tasks with what we're really doing. Right. So we confuse that, well, I'm driving the kids around, but what you really are doing, to be honest, is you're taking care of your family. And I think we get that so confused. Yeah. And when we get that confused, we feel certain type of, words of heart, we feel a certain type of way about that. So we have to be careful.
Some of the best conversations I had with the kids was during those times. Mm-hmm. When I was driving them around or picking them up or we were going places. Mm-hmm. That's time that, regardless of whatever it looks like, I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful for that time to spend with the kids. I'm grateful for that time, for the laughs we've had, for the conversations we had, for the jokes we would tell, for them telling jokes on me, and some of the
kind of bothered me a little bit, because at one point you and the kids had your own language, your own. First of all, do you remember? I was so upset that you had to have your own personal handshake for each kid.
Yeah, I remember
and that. Nobody wanted to do a handshake with me. I was so hurt.
I remember that. Actually, that's not what I thought you was going to talk about.
What you just gonna say?
No, but I do remember, and I still don't to this day understand why you.
I wanted my own handshake like you had with the kids. But go ahead, I'm still bitter about it. Go ahead.
Wow, you're gonna do the bottom look like poo?
Yeah, I was just like.
No, actually, what I thought you was gonna talk about was that time you call yourself going on strike.
Oh my goodness!
I thought that's what you was gonna talk about.
No, I was not.
No, so
it did. That didn't work, guys. Don't do that.
Okay, families. This is one of the rabbit hole situations right now that we kind of talked about earlier. So during the time, that was actually during the time when I was out of work.
You was out of work?
Yeah, during the time I was out of work. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I don't know what bee got in your bonnet.
Don't you just say what bee? Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
I don't know what got into you, but you got really upset about something.
You and it was you and your family.
Yeah, she got so upset with me and the kids that she called us up going on strike.
I'm on strike, yeah.
So she would come home, she would go in her room, and call us up, not talking to nobody.
I was on strike.
Locking herself in a room and talking.
I was on strike.
Talking about I ain't cooking, I ain't cleaning, I ain't doing nothing.
I'm not doing nothing.
And so I did what I do. I cooked, I cleaned, me and the kids joked, and the kids chipped in and they cleaned their room and they were doing their chores, and
it was a mess.
The house was running well.
It was.
The house was running so well.
It was running well.
And we made the mistake to be in the living room.
Yes.
And we were joking and we were laughing.
Loud.
And my wife busted out of the bedroom.
Oh my God. So
like a commando soldier.
I was so hurt.
But I'm trying to figure out, what were you hurt about, though?
Because, you know what? I was trying to make a statement.
What statement were you trying to make?
I don't know, because it didn't work. Right? So, and I was like, well, they're going to miss me. They're going to want me. I don't even know what happened.
Did you not feel needed?
I don't know what happened. But the fact that everything was running smoothly and y'all just out in the living room, I keep laughing. I rolled up out there. I was like, first of all, so at that point, my stint of being on strike was over at that point.
Yeah, but no, the crazy part, you came out, you bust out the room, you did your little spiel, had your little head rolling.
Really, baby?
You went back in the room, called yourself, slammed the door, and me and the kids, we just turned around, looked at each other,
and went back to what they were doing.
And we just busted out laughing.
Because it was rude. They were rude people. I felt like I had an orange jumper on, because they just bring my plate, put it on the dresser, and go back out the door. Because I wouldn't go out. I refused to go out there to those people. But here's the thing about as I was talking to women about in reference to gender roles as well, there has to be a conversation, like I said before, about what do we do, but I think there also has to be a conversation of what the expectation is.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think expectation is such a huge thing in marriage. And again, not bringing in, because we don't want to bring in what society says. Because we don't want to bring in what our family says. We don't even want to bring our personal opinions about this. And we need to sit down and have a real conversation about the expectation. Because a lot of times with moms who do stay home or women who work and come home, there's this expectation that everything still should be done. Everything should still be in order. Everything, and like you said, that there's no contribution from the spouse, and it could be vice versa, to be honest, right? And so I think that not having conversation about the expectations is a huge thing. Not only the roles, but the expectations that we expect from each other.
Yeah, and also understanding, and once again, I already hear it. I already hear you, family. Well, some of you, anyway. This is not a conversation about I want to be PC when I say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this in a nice way.
In a gentle way.
Yeah.
Be gentle.
I'm gonna be gentle. This is not a conversation about taking away manhood.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a conversation about lessening what manhood looks like, or being a man.
Right.
So forth. That's not what this conversation is about.
Not.
This is a conversation about what does it look like to be an effective husband. Is what this conversation is about.
Come on now.
This is a conversation about what does it look like to love your wife, to show your wife love, to show love in a different way. That's what this conversation is about. This is a conversation about not being tied to a title.
Right.
Not being tied to what you think what it should look like via what society has told you.
Right.
This is not even you trying to figure out what it looks like by what your uncle, what your grandfather, what your father. This is not, because that's not their marriage.
Right. This is your marriage.
Your marriage is not your grandfather's marriage. Your marriage is not your parents' marriage.
Right.
Your marriage is not your auntie and your uncle's marriage.
Absolutely.
What worked for their marriage may not work for your marriage. What thought processes, what philosophies they had for their marriage may not work for your marriage. You have to develop a philosophy. You have to develop policies and procedures. I'm going to get my manager for a moment.
Policies and procedures. Wow.
That works for
your... In the manual?
Yeah, in the manual.
In the manual?
That works for your marriage.
Right.
So if that means that you pick up a dish and you wash a dish because your wife needs some assistance, or your wife doesn't want to be the primary one doing it all the time, then guess what? You pick up a dish, you pick up a sponge or a rag, and you wash the dishes.
Right.
Learn what the vacuum cleaner is and go get it and plug it in.
And here's the thing about the expectation too, when we talk about that, is without me having to tell you. Now that's an ouch moment right there.
Yeah, it is.
Without me having to tell you what to do. Without me saying, babe, you just walked over the garbage, can you pick it up? Without doing that. And I think when it comes to gender roles, when we talk about enough is enough in gender roles, we say enough is enough because you have to do what's good for your family, not what society say, not what you were taught, but really what works for your family, your beautiful, unique family. And it may not look like anybody else, and people are not going to agree, and actually they don't even have to agree. But what has to happen is you have to do it the way it's going to work for your family. So if you guys are feeling some type of way because you're stuck in these gender roles, well, the wife should take care of the house and the husband should work and the wife should do this and the husband should do that and all these things, then you're stuck. There's no room for growth. And you have to grow in a marriage.
Yeah, that's a marriage has to, every relationship, but especially a marital relationship, it has to constantly evolve. And we've made this statement before, because the woman I married 20 years ago is not the woman I'm sitting in front of right now.
No.
The man that you married 20 years ago is not the man that sits before you today.
You're sexier.
Wow, thank you. I I've learned a little more. I've let some things go. I've picked up some things. You know, I've got a different process on different things, a different philosophy on different things, a different perspective on different things. And so the marriage has to evolve. It has to grow. But if I look at it as I can only do these certain things because I'm the man, or you must do these certain things because you're the woman, then that leaves us stuck in a place that we can't grow.
Stagnant.
Yeah, we're stagnant. We're stale. And what happens with something that's stagnant and stale? It dies.
It dies.
It
gets molded.
If a living organism does not have room to grow, it dies.
Right.
If you take a plant, and you put it in too small of a pot, it doesn't grow properly, and then the root don't take.
You stump this growth. Yeah.
And that's the same for your marriage. Yeah. That's the same. We're gonna stay on marriage, but that's the same for your marriage.
Yeah.
If you don't plant your marriage in proper soil, if you don't plant your marriage in the proper container, then you stunt your marriage. You stunt your marital growth.
Yeah.
And looking at it, well, I'm the man. I can only do these things. I'm the man. Only thing I'm supposed to do is work. Only thing I'm supposed to do is provide. As long as I'm putting a roof over their heads and food on their table, then I'm doing my part. There's nothing else for me to do.
And even with the wife too, well, I don't have to work. He's working. That's his job. That's not my position or my job to do. If that's your family and that's the way it works, and I say this, if that's your family and that's the way it works, not because of society, not because mom and them, because it really works for your family, then absolutely go for it. But make sure that it's something that you guys are coming into agreement with. Now, I know we're winding down, so I want to ask you this question.
Talk to myself.
It's a hot topic.
Okay, talk to myself.
Not taking the husband's last name.
Oh no, I don't agree with that at all. I'm not a fan.
Don't say, okay, your perspective.
Okay. Once again, I said I.
Okay.
No, I started the conversation with I'm not a fan of that at all.
Right.
And once again, this is my viewpoint. This is my perspective. I don't agree with that at all. I'm doing something that somebody else was not willing to do. I am willing to give you my name. And so
I'm willing to take it, but maybe I just don't want to put it. Maybe or better yet, okay, not taking your last name or putting my last name as my middle name and taking your last name. No. How do you feel about all of that?
Nah, dog, you ain't married yourself. You ain't married yourself, dog. Now, I'm progressive in a lot of things.
You'll take my last name? You said you was progressive.
You almost got shaken baby syndrome for a second there.
Sanchez Brown.
No, that don't even sound right.
Okay, cool.
But in certain aspects, I'm very old school and I'm very old fashioned. And my kid's not having no hyphenated last name. We ain't doing no Brown Crenshaw. We ain't doing that. But no, I personally, and for some people it works.
Okay, now is that because of the way you were raised? Or is that your perspective, or is that society perspective, or is that your perspective?
It's a little bit of all of the above when it comes to that. So, and maybe I'm being hypocritical. I admit that. But when it comes to that particular
topic, I'm leaning in.
I'm leaning all you want to. It just, and I can't even really articulate it properly. I'll be honest.
Without getting, because you like your sweat.
No, I'm not sweating. It's just something about that. It does not sit well in my soul. Once again,
and this is his perspective.
This is my perspective. I am not saying it's right or it's wrong.
Right.
I'm saying for me.
For you.
If it works for your marriage, is it
right?
If
both parties are okay with it.
If that's the key though. If both parties
are okay
with it, and both parties sign off on that, not one party overrule the other party.
Right.
But if both parties sign off on that, and that's what they want to do, and that works for them,
right?
More power to you.
Right.
But for me and mine, no.
So how would if I would have, which I didn't, I was so excited to take your last name, but if I would have came and said, babe, I need to keep the Brown, so Brown hyphen Crenshaw.
You actually you did try for half a second.
When, babe?
You did.
When, baby?
You did.
In what country?
Tell me part.
USA?
Yeah. This comes right here.
You sure?
Yeah, you did. Like I said, you tried it for a half a second.
When though?
Until I told you that I ain't gonna marry you unless you take my last name.
Listen, I know we've been together a long time, gonna be 21 years, but I don't remember that conversation because I was very much excited to take your last name.
You know, you need Giga Galoba.
Giga Galoba. But you. So, again, going back to being agreeable, both parties being agreeable. But my question, if I would have came to you, I do not remember doing this, so act like I didn't since you said I did.
Okay.
And I came to you and said, it's very important to me that because I am let's say if I was the only child.
Right.
And it's very important to me to keep my dad's last name so it can live on. So I want to be Brown Crenshaw. So at that point, how would you feel about that?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say I have a problem with that because you didn't marry your father. Mm-hmm. You married me. It's at that point. It's our legacy that needs to live on.
Okay.
It's our name that needs to live on at that point. And that's no disrespect to your father. I love your father. There's no disrespect to that. I love speaking.
It's a scenario.
And I'm just saying. But there's no disrespect, no ill feelings there. But at that point, it's not about your former life that needs to live on. It's about your present and future life that needs to live on at that point. At that point, we're no longer trying to build a Brown legacy. At that point, we're building a Crenshaw legacy. And like I said, for me, if you'd have came to me, I seem to remember you did, but you said
I did not. I'm gonna go with very much excited.
I'm gonna go with your thought process.
Yes.
But if you come to me with that particular conversation, we don't have to have a long, honest, deep conversation about that.
Right. That
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I would have been willing to back off of.
Right. Absolutely.
Because, like I said, for me, it's everything for me when it comes to that.
Right.
And like I said, I'm most likely I may not be articulating this properly, but it just does not sit well in my soul.
I mean, I think that's good. Just don't sit with yourself.
And like I said, and I'm not saying there's certain things in life there's not a right or wrong answer to.
Right, absolutely.
We have a tendency.
This is one of them.
Yeah, we have a tendency of wanting to make everything right or wrong. And not understanding there are some things in life that are gray.
Yep, there's a gray area.
There are shades of gray
that you have to really discuss.
Yeah, certain things in life, it just whatever works best for you. Now,
in agreement again.
Yeah, in agreement.
You're both in agreement with this, though.
There's certain things, is right or is wrong. There are certain things in life that are absolute. Is what I'm trying to say. There are certain things in life that are absolute. It's either right or it's wrong. But this is not one of those things. For me, and mine, you're going to take my last name. You have to take my last name for this to work. That's just me. But if that's not you, like I said, if the husband and wife, if they sit down and they agree, and he's okay with it, she's okay with it, if that works for you, hey.
Some people do it for tax purposes, business purposes, because they had a business before they married them. So there's so many different reasons why a lot of people do it. But the beautiful part about that, again, is having the conversation. I think even with this enough is enough gender role of what a man should do and what a woman should do, the top of our conversation is always going to be that y'all have a conversation about what works for your family.
If you haven't picked up on it by now, there's a common theme that goes throughout every episode we've ever done. There's a common, no matter what the topic is, no matter what the series is, there's a common theme that goes throughout, and it's always communication. We always stress communication.
Please talk. Please be honest.
From the first date to your 100th wedding anniversary.
Please.
There has to be conversations. The main thing about having the conversation about gender roles, the reason we wanted to do this, the reason we wanted to have this conversation is because so many people are caught up in titles. So many people are caught up in labels, and they're not having the proper conversations because they're in this label, they're in this title that they don't feel like they should have to.
Yeah. Or so many women are wearing the superwoman cape without having the conversation with their spouse and say, hey, I need you to help me, because they feel that their spouse or their significant other has this thought process of what a man and woman role should be, so they don't want to talk about it with them. They don't want to tell them that they're, so they become bitter, angry, resentful, instead of having the conversation, hey babe, I need your help in this area. So they would just prefer to keep picking up after them or whatever they do, and becoming very, very sick inside, because you internalize that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we just say, please have the conversation. If you can have the conversation before marriage, have it. Because a lot of these conversations that we talk about, people don't have before marriage.
Yeah.
They don't have it because like marriage counseling. So let's talk about who's going to do the dishes, and you're like, this is not important, but it is.
But it is.
But it is. Okay, let's talk about who's going to vacuum and clean the bathroom. That's not important, but it is.
It is.
But it very much is. Who's going to stay home with the kids? Because automatically the thought process is, my wife. But what if a dad, because I remember one time you was like, you know what, I like this whole stay home dad thing, baby. Go ahead and see how you can make more money and work this out for me. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
So
because what if the wife doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mom?
Exactly.
What if the wife has aspirations and loves working and has a dream and has built this life for herself when it comes to professional life? What if she doesn't want to give that up? What if and that's okay.
Right.
As long as the conversation is had. As long as you're making the best decision for your family, for your overall family.
Exactly.
And having that conversation that says, okay, babe, what works for us?
Yeah.
Not what works for Jimmy and Susan. Not what works for Becky and Bill.
Right.
But what works for
us. Exactly. And that's the important part. What works for us. Well, babe.
What up, babe?
I don't know if we help anybody.
I don't know. If you feel like you got help, email us.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. We just out here answering questions and
give a perspective.
And give a perspective. At
the end of the day, that's all we do.
So what's your final thought?
My final thought is really simple. Don't get caught up. That's my final thought. Don't get caught up in titles. Don't get caught up in labels.
In roles.
Don't get caught up in roles. It's what the situation is about is that you have to do what's best for your family, whatever that looks like. So if it's best for your family, for the father to stay home and be a stay-at-home dad, more power to you.
Go for it, Dad.
If it's best for mom to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom, more power to you.
If it's best that you and the mom go to work and you paying for daycare, more power to you.
More power to you.
Whatever works for your family. My final word would be whatever works for your family, as long as you're communicating it and you're coming to an agreement of what's best for your family. And this is the thing here, what I would love to say, especially with the holiday coming and things like that, start your own traditions. Yeah. That's another thing start your own traditions with your own family. Sometimes, it's good, but right now, this would be the best time to start your own traditions with your family for the holidays.
I can go with that. Family, hopefully we gave you something.
Yes!
Hopefully we gave you a nugget. Hopefully we gave you something to take away from you. Yes. So families, always, however you're listening.
Were we in order? I don't know. Were we in order?
What do you mean were we in order?
Like, did it make sense?
Family, if it didn't make sense, go back and listen to it backwards. So just listen to it in reverse. If you feel like what we said didn't make sense, just play the record backwards.
Just play the record backwards.
Go
ahead, baby. I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. So, family, we just thank you guys for listening. However you're listening, whether it's iTunes, whether it's Podbean, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Google Play, whether it's Amazon Music, whether it's iHeartRadio, on our own personal website at www.thecrenshawcorner.com. We thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, we are an interactive podcast.
Yes, we are.
So what that means is that we can be found on the socials.
Yes.
We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter, all under Crenshaw Corner.
Crenshaw Corner.
As well as you can email us anytime at thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. Once again, thecrenshawcorner@gmail.com. And as always, family, welcome to our journey.
We love you guys. Bye.